a net results guy. Are the lives of tens of thousands of people slightly better because of this video? Yes. And outside of that and combating a system where a fucking Mr. Beast has to step in, the rest is noise to me. But hey, that's the story, my personal takeaway. And whether you agree or you disagree with me, I'd love to hear from you in those comments down below. And then a decent chunk of the internet today has been dunking on Jake Paul, and I'm being forced to do the unthinkable and back Jake Paul here. Like, I genuinely think he's one of the worst people out there, but had I been in the situation he was just in, would have done the same thing. So apparently, Jake Paul's leaving a Miami Heat game. All of a sudden, he's confronted by a group of men. Turns out, it's Floyd Mayweather and his crew. Not the best situation for little Jake Paul, who seems to only have one security guard.
What happened? You're not tough anymore since your loss? What happened since your loss? Yo, let's bust him up. Where you running, Jake? Where you going since your fight? Since you lost? What's up, Jake?
Because Jake Paul has said some wild personal shit about Floyd Mayweather. There was also that incident back in 2021 where he stole his hat. And so as this group of guys are approaching him and they're taunting him, the cameras are out. What does Jake Paul do? Does he step up? No, he does a 180, high knees out of there. Usain Bolt, who? He gets out of there.
Jake Paul running, champ.
And a lot of the initial reaction was, man, did you see that little bitch Jake Paul run away? Yeah. You know where I didn't see Jake Paul? Unconscious, on the ground, on World Star. Jake Paul made a video afterwards where he's like, they rolled 50 guys deep. He tweeted 25 guys deep. I don't care if it was 4 or 5 guys deep. If I'm that outnumbered by myself, baby, I'm a runner, I'm a track star. Are you kidding me? Especially with some of the shit Jake said. He gave them a reason. Well, I'm not arguing that Paul doesn't deserve an ass whooping. For one of the few times in his life, he made the right move in how to handle yourself in a situation. And then the WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment, wants to legalize betting on scripted matches, at least in Michigan and Colorado, with them reportedly in talks with the accounting firm Ernst & Young to make sure that the results of the match are kept under lock and key, with them hoping that'll be enough to convince state regulators to allow betting on their matchups. And the fact that it's Ernst & Young is very significant because they previously worked with award shows like the Emmys and the Academy Awards. Right? Those shows are essentially the WWE's blueprint. It's already legal to bet on them in some states, even appearing on FanDuel and DraftKings. But also, it's not a straight comparison, right? The Academy Awards voting results are known by a very small group, but they aren't scripted by writers. And then even if regulators do give the okay, are gambling organizations going to place odds on those scripted matches? But right now, that's really all the movement we've seen. Though if this does manage to work out for them, I mean, this could open the door to a whole new world of gambling, right? Character deaths and the results of season finales for TV shows. Personally, I'll say I think it is a very bad idea, though I think I got a few uncles that'll be like, hey, it ain't more or less scripted than the NFL and the NBA, am I right? Also, no, I don't know what the fuck that attempted accent was. What are your thoughts? I think there's at least 3 degenerate gamblers that are part of the nation. You for it or against it? Why? And then I want to thank today's sponsor, Manscaped.com, the global leader in men's grooming tools and hygiene solutions. If you've been here for a while, you know that Manscaped has been a good friend of the show, and I'm happy to let you know they've launched yet another win. Your facial hair is key to making a good first impression, and that doesn't just mean your beard and stash. I've been so impressed with the new Weed Whacker 2.0 nose and ear hair trimmer. It's the best way to keep the rest of your face trimmed, because let's face it, no one wants their nose or ear hair sticking out. Not a great look. And the Weed Whacker 2.0 is cordless and rechargeable with a 45-minute runtime. It's also got this awesome skin-safe technology to help you stay safe and avoid cutting the most sensitive parts of your face. And if you need to restock on your other grooming supplies, the Weed Whacker 2.0 will be in all Manscaped's tool sets, including the Platinum Package 4.0 and the Performance Package 4.0. So don't be stupid, and keep your nose and ears clean with the Weed Whacker 2.0. Head to manscaped.com/Phil today and get 20% off plus free international shipping. That's 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com/Phil. And then, what the actual fuck is happening in East Cleveland? And I asked that because yesterday we saw the FBI and local prosecutor do a press conference where they unveiled indictments against 11 current or former East Cleveland police officers, with charges ranging from assault to dereliction of duty to interfering with civil rights, bringing the total number of cops indicted over the last 7 months to 16, with all of it caught on a slew of body cam videos. Also, just so you understand the perspective, because you're like, 16 cops, that's not a lot. We're not talking about Los Angeles. We're talking about a city of just 14,000 people. So not only is this a small community, but there's only about 24 active duty cops left after these indictments, which is why you have people saying this isn't a case of like a bad apple or two. This is a bad department. But on to the videos. We first see one where a cop car hits a guy and then the officers get out, they handcuff him on the ground, and then they punch him repeatedly with him suffering a broken pelvis. And as he tries to roll onto his side, they scream at him to stop resisting, then they tase him 3 times while he groans in pain. In other videos, you see cops just beating on people who are either handcuffed, surrendering, or otherwise present no real threat. Like one officer who repeatedly stomped on a man who was just lying on the ground. In another incident, a cop approaches a man who's kneeling down and just kicks him to the ground, with that same officer in another video rushing up to a guy sitting against a wall with his hands up, shoving him to the ground and kicking him in the groin. Next up, you got a video showing a police cruiser chasing a man, and as they near him, you hear,
Get his ass. Get his ass. Get his ass,
By the time they get out, the person's already laying on the ground, but still 3 officers run up and beat him before throwing him in the back of the cruiser. With one of them then saying several minutes later,
"Nice little whooping."
And yet another clip, an officer repeatedly hits a man in the face and you hear him screaming that he needs medical attention afterward.
I need to go to the hospital.
No one kicked you.
I need to go to the hospital. I'm bleeding. My whole hand broken, everything.
Get in the car.
And then finally, there's one where we catch a cop finding someone's phone in the back of the cruiser, then pressing down on it with 2 hands and breaking it. And then, key thing here, afterward, you hear him and another officer agree to cover it up and then laugh about it.
Nothing.
I didn't see anything either.
How does it still turn on?
That's impressive. I'm surprised the battery hasn't exploded yet.
And something I want you to keep in mind is that almost everything that you saw happened just in the last year or two, and that is not even all of it. Right? In total, there are 17 victims from these incidents, and a key thing, that's only what was caught by investigators. Right? So now we'll hopefully see these scumbags get convicted, thrown into prison, but no matter what we do, it just seems like this shit just keeps happening over and over and over again. And then, opioids are killing children, with a new study by the journal Pediatrics finding that opioids are the #1 cause of fatal poisoning deaths in children under 5. Right? So researchers looked at 731 poisoning-related deaths that took place from 2005 to 2018 in 40 states and found that nearly half were caused by the drugs. And the proportion of fatal poisonings caused by opiates has gotten significantly worse over time, jumping from 24% of the deaths in 2005 to 52% in 2018. And those figures track with the increase in opiate overdoses among adults for the same time frame. In fact, according to the CDC, opioid overdoses killed around 5 out of every 100,000 Americans in 2005, compared to around 21 out of every 100,000 in 2020. And overall, overdose deaths quintupled since 1999, with opioids accounting for nearly 75% of those fatalities in 2020. So that helps explain why opiates now account for a higher percentage of poisoning deaths in children. But the study's authors also say that the spike can be attributed to a shift in the kinds of opiates people are using. In the early 2000s, more people abused prescription opioids. But as regulators crack down, they turn to alternatives like fentanyl and heroin, which not only are stronger and more deadly, they also don't come with childproof packaging like prescriptions. And then, the number of plastic particles in the world's oceans is now a whopping 171 trillion, with this coming from a new study saying that it's reached unprecedented levels, with the number of plastics back in 2005 totaling just 16 trillion. Right, so we're talking water bottles, food packaging, toothbrushes, toilet seats, laundry baskets, hard hats, pretty much anything you can think of, with lots of it reportedly being mistaken for prey by wildlife like whales, turtles, fish, and seabirds who starve to death as plastic fills their stomach. But also a huge thing, humans unknowingly consume it too, with microplastics now being found all over our body, from the lungs and veins to the placenta in our blood. And in fact, one study estimated that people eat around 1 credit card worth of plastic every week. And where you can find these plastics, it spans the entire globe. They've been found pretty much everywhere, from the summit of Mount Everest to the depths of the Mariana Trench, which is why this latest study's author warns, without urgent policy intervention to limit plastic reduction, the rate at which plastic waste will enter the ocean between now and 2040 will increase by around 2.6 times. And adding that the solution isn't just to clean up and recycle, but to reduce our use of plastic in the first place. And that's where today's show ends. As always, thank you for watching, liking, being subscribed to my daily dives into the news. Heads up, this week we officially finished 11 days of content in a row. We're gonna take the next 2 days to see if it makes sense to do this moving forward, but the show will be back on Sunday. But until then, as always, my name's Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love yo faces, and I'll see you Sunday.